Welcome to the Epcotian Adventure,
a podcast where we'll talk about all things Disney, but we're Epcot-centered.
including tips and tricks, festivals and favorites, and the very latest in our rankings and reviews.
But we're still old enough to remember when Magic Kingdom wasn't only the iconic Florida park, it was the only Florida park.
This is episode 68, Back to Basics, Why Magic Kingdom?
Or Pirates and Princesses, Space and Specters, Dumbo and Dole Whip. Need we say more?
So now, please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast as we embark on our Epcotian adventure. Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And this is another Back to Basics episode. We're going to talk about why should the Magic Kingdom be part of your Walt Disney World vacation?
Yeah, so this is sort of a follow-up. This is the next in a series that we're starting. The first one was episode number 50, where we talked about why Epcot should be part of your vacation, because, of course, we started with Epcot.
Well, because we're Epcotian.
We are Epcotian. It is our favorite park.
We're not Magic Kingdom. No.
Kingdomers?
Kingdomers.
What do they call themselves?
That's a good question.
So today, we're going to go to the iconic park, the original, the OG Magic Kingdom.
We've been going to the Magic Kingdom since we were kids. We've been going to Disneyland since we were even younger.
Yeah, strollers.
The whole family has been going to Disney parks since the 60s. So Magic Kingdom, being the second castle park, I guess is the best way to put it, opened in 1971 in Orlando, of course, at Walt Disney World. And it's the original Walt Disney World park. I mean, to me, that says it all right there.
Yeah, totally. It's the one... It's what you think of when you think of going to Disney. You probably picture Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, it's basically Disneyland East, if you're used to the Disney parks. Disneyland being the original in Anaheim, with the castle and the princesses and the Space Mountain and the Seven Dwarfs and...
the Jungle Cruise and Haunted Mansion and Pirates and all of those good things.
Yeah, I mean, it was originally geared towards a family crowd when you think about it back in the 70s, but it's really kind of grown up since then, with Space Mountain opening in the 70s, and then Big Thunder Mountain opening in the 80s, and then Splash Mountain opening not too soon after that in the 90s.
Yep.
Wow, we're still getting 20 plus years ago on some of these references.
I don't understand that math.
But that shows you how old the Magic Kingdom is. Again, another reason why you would go to Magic Kingdom. It's the original Disney castle park in Florida.
Yeah, so basically, short answer, if you were planning a trip to Walt Disney World, it doesn't matter who is in your party, Magic Kingdom should be on your list. That is the short version. We're going to go into detail, of course, piece by piece, but short answer, TLDR, go to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. I mean, like Sue said, it's all those classic attractions you remember as a kid. And if you're a Disney fanatic, this is where you go to get your Disney fix, usually.
Yeah, seriously.
It's the most Disney of the Disney parks.
Yes.
So, Sue, what is your favorite part of the Magic Kingdom?
Oh my gosh. Okay. It's hard to pick one thing because there are so many iconic things at Disney World, and specifically at Magic Kingdom. If I was going to pick one specific moment at Magic Kingdom to pick as a favorite, I'm going to have to say it is entering the park. I love Main Street. I think it gets overlooked far too often. And I'm going to say that walking in under the train station, turning the corner and seeing the castle at the end of the hub there, hearing the Dapper Dans singing, seeing the characters, I'm going to have to go with that just initial opening moment of we're in the Magic Kingdom.
It's hard to beat. As a first-timer, if you've never been, that's where you get that hit in the feels, really, seeing the castle for the first time. And if you're a Disney fanatic or a Disney adult like us, that's where you walk around the corner and go, I'm home.
Yeah, we get that at Epcot more than at Magic Kingdom, but it still hits.
I was going to say, it really does hit you at all four parks, but Magic Kingdom seems to hit the hardest, because that seems to have the most childhood memories for everybody.
Yes. Now, if you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you remember way back in season 1 when we had an interview with Catherine, our friend who had never been to Disney World, and she even said, not growing up as a Disney kid and going for the first time as a full-grown adult, that it was still very magical to walk around that entrance plaza and see the castle for the first time. Even not having those childhood memories, they're just something that's like ingrained in us as Americans, I think.
Yeah, it is really part of the culture.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part, and this is kind of an odd one maybe, but my favorite part is riding the train around the Magic Kingdom. It's the only of the Disney parks at Walt Disney World that has the train around it. And so you get a bird's eye view, basically, of Frontierland and Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Splash Mountain, whatever you would like to call it today. Thunder Mountain, and then Tron, and the Tomorrowland Space Mountain area and all that. It just, to me, it is a way of just kind of encapsulating everything that is in the Magic Kingdom into one experience.
I'm going to go a step further and say, and I bet it's one of your favorites because it's a way to connect with Walt.
That is true.
Not just the Disney parks, but actually Walt. He was such a train fanatic.
That's a very good point. If you're not familiar with the history of Walt Disney World, Walt actually picked out the land in 1963, just 3 years prior to him passing. So he didn't get to see the construction and the fruition of Walt Disney World. His brother Roy did, and took over the company and made Walt Disney World what it became, and opened the Magic Kingdom in 1971. And it was called Walt Disney World in Walt's honor, in Walt's memory.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, but it's been a while. But a lot of people don't realize that Walt Disney World, the whole entity that is in Florida, would not exist without Roy. He named it Walt after his brother to carry on his legacy. But it would have been so easy in 1966 when Walt passed to just say, well, I guess we're done. We're not building the new parks. We're not expanding. It would have been so easy to just concentrate on what already existed, and he didn't. He put the effort in, and he made it happen. So that's why on Main Street you will see a statue of Roy and Minnie on the bench there. So if you're going and sitting with that statue, that is not Walt. That is Walt's brother Roy. He is the reason that Walt Disney World exists.
Yeah, Walt and Mickey are in statue form in the hub in front of the castle in a statue called Partners. It makes me very happy. It's also very moving in some ways to know that Walt never actually got to see that park. But also it is very moving to me because I got to work at Disneyland for so many years. And knowing that Walt was a massive part of that park, was that park. He designed it from ground up. Knowing that Magic Kingdom is in Walt's honor, I think is very humbling in some ways.
Disneyland was Walt's beginnings, sort of, and Walt Disney World is his legacy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
It kind of went past him, so. Well, anyway, but we're getting nostalgic here.
Yeah, sorry. So, Sue, if you have never been, or if you're talking to somebody who's never been, what would you tell them is the number one thing that they need to do at the Magic Kingdom? That's
a great question, because there's a lot of people who don't know a lot of what's there. And picking one single thing to go, do not leave the park without doing this. I'm going to have to just jump straight to my very favorite ride, my favorite attraction at Walt Disney World, Magic Kingdom, and say, you must ride Pirates of the Caribbean. This is not my favorite version of Pirates of the Caribbean. In fact, it's probably my least favorite version of that ride.
But it's still Pirates of the Caribbean.
So I think that is the ultimate Magic Kingdom. You must do this one thing.
I'm going to have to agree with you. For me, I would say go maybe one step beyond that and say do Pirates, but also do the classic attractions.
Yes.
So do a little research ahead of time and know who you're going with, obviously, or you know who you're going with.
Which is what we're going to dive into in the rest of the episode.
Yeah. Pirates, I think, is perfect as a jump-off point, though, because it's a great attraction for everybody. There's no height requirement. It's a slow-moving boat attraction. Has one small drop and some loud noises in the dark, but...
And some skeletons. There's some scary bits, some scary dark bits.
But not horrifying. I'll put it that way.
And they're short-lived. I feel like the fun moments of that ride far outweigh the scary bits.
They really do. And it's such a classic attraction that everybody can ride that it has to be, I agree with you, it has to be the one thing that you must do if you're going. Now, if it's closed, of course, don't make that a reason not to go to Magic Kingdom. There are still plenty of other things to do at Magic Kingdom, but Pirates, I think, is the quintessential attraction at that park.
Yes. followed closely by I'm gonna give you two. Here's a bonus. The other one, if you can at all swing it, is to stay late enough and watch the fireworks.
That's true.
Such a classic Disney moment.
Oh, the current fireworks show is Happily Ever After, and I don't tend to tear up during fireworks shows. This one gets me in the feels every time.
I tear up at everything, but this one I absolutely cry every single time. I cry just listening to the music, so I mean it's a great show.
So Magic Kingdom, of course, is great if you have kids. So if you're going with kids to the Magic Kingdom, what would you suggest not to overlook?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people think of Magic Kingdom as the kids park. And while that has changed over the years, and we really do have something for everyone, which is why we say don't skip it no matter who's in your party, it really is such a great park. If you have littles, this is probably where you're going to spend most of your time. So I would say if you have little ones, concentrate a lot on Fantasyland. So what does that mean? That would be a lot of those classic attractions that are based on Disney movies. So we're talking Dumbo and
Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
Yeah. The princesses are there too. Yeah.
Yeah, meet and greets with princesses. Yeah, you can even go beyond a simple meet and greet, and you can eat breakfast or lunch with them and go up to Cinderella's royal table, have a whole slew of them come in and meet you.
Oh yeah, and you can meet Belle and the Beast at Be Our Guest restaurant.
Yes.
Both of those are considered premium experiences. I'll just warn you, they are not inexpensive. And you're mostly paying for the experience, not the food in general.
Yeah, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's one thing you will find at Magic Kingdom is the food quality is not as good as Epcot.
It's very sad, actually.
Yeah, there are some good places. We'll talk about those too, of course.
Yeah, we'll throw a couple suggestions in there. But yeah, if you're coming with a bunch of children, I would or even a child, I would definitely say concentrate on those Fantasyland rides. Peter Pan, Small World. All of those classics. The carousel is there. That's where you're going to find all of those really, really great, not just kid rides, but family rides.
Yeah, a good example of other things that you can do there is Tom Sawyer Island. You can take a raft over to the island and let the kids run themselves ragged through the tunnels and the bridges and the hills of Tom Sawyer Island. It's not a playground, but it's definitely a place for kids to blow off steam. Now, I wouldn't say toddlers. Don't let them run by themselves. Younger kids, under 10, over 5, walk around with them through the tunnels and take them up into the fort. And it's a really great place to explore.
And it's somewhere that's very overlooked.
Now, it is only open during daylight hours. So you do need to make sure that if you're going to do that, plan it earlier in the day when it's not so hot. And don't wait for the sun to go down because they'll kick you off the island.
It's so funny. When we were growing up at Disneyland and we actually had the coupon books that you used because we're that old. But that is the first place I ever heard the word dusk because Tom Sawyer's Island closed at dusk. I was like, what does that mean?
What is a dusk?
Yeah. So another great place to let kids run off some energy is over in Storybook Circus. And they have, while you're waiting to get on the Dumbo queue, or if you're not waiting, you can still go in there. But there is what do they call it?
I think it's just the Dumbo's circus tent. I don't know that it's got a name other than
if it has a name, we don't know.
Dumbo the Flying Elephant's queue.
But there is a very large area in there that does have a play area set up for kids. It is not a daycare. Do not drop your kids off.
Yeah, that does not exist at the park.
Yeah, but it's a great place. There's benches. There's snacks. You can sit and watch your kids run themselves just exhausted. And then they paid you when it's your time to go on the Dumbo attraction. So it's a really, really prime opportunity to let your kids run around while you are resting. One of the things that kids love to do is to drive their own car at the Tomorrowland Speedway. So this is a little like mini racetrack. The cars are all on tracks. They're not going to go crashing into the bushes. But not only can they drive their own car, they can also get their own driver's license. So make sure that you stop by the little photo booth, get a little driver's license for them, let them drive around the track. For some reason, kids just think this is amazing. They are not easy to drive, grown-ups. I'm going to give you a hint.
Even on a track, weird.
I know. They should be a lot easier. But for some reason, this is a must-do for the kidlet crowd.
Speaking of kids, what happens if you're going with teenagers?
Ooh, tough sell.
Yeah. Now, this is not Universal Studios. It's not SeaWorld. It's not Busch Gardens. There's not a lot of big coasters here, but there are some fun attractions that teenagers will like. And most of them are going to be roller coasters, of course, and there are a few, but they're not the loop-de-loop coasters that you see at Six Flags. I think the biggest one is going to be Tron Light Cycle Run. It's
Yes.
also one of the newest ones.
Tron is definitely one that will entice the teenage crowd.
Yeah, it's a launch coaster that you sit on the back of a light cycle, or what looks like more like a motorcycle, and launches you into the digital world of Tron. It's a very short ride.
Yes.
And you have to get a lightning lane in order to ride it. Now, whether you purchase that lightning lane ahead of time with the individual lightning lane, or you're able to get into the daily virtual queue, it's at 7 a.m. or 1 p.m. during the day. It's kind of a hassle to ride at this point. Hopefully, sometime in the near future, that'll be dropping off, with Tiana's Bayou Adventure opening, taking the virtual queue away from Tron. I'm hoping, fingers crossed.
We are hoping.
We'll find out in about a week.
Traditionally, each park has one of those paid queues or virtual queues that you can join. So hopefully Tron will be more easily accessible in the very near future.
One of the other ones that you can pay to ride if you want, but does have just Genie Plus or a standby line, is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. This is more of a family coaster. It swings side to side, but you go through scenes with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
It's super cute.
It's really fun, and teenagers actually like this one as well, just because it's moderately fast.
They'll roll their eyes because it's Snow White and they're teenagers, but they will enjoy it in the end, even if they don't admit it.
Yeah.
My favorite of those coaster attractions is always Big Thunder Mountain, and that is a great one for teenagers as well. I loved it when I was a teen. I loved it when I was a kid. I love it now as an adult. It's a fun ride for everyone, and it definitely gets you going.
Yeah, the OG of the coasters is going to be one that makes me go, oh gee, and that's Space Mountain. Probably one you've heard of if you've never been to the park, but if you've been there, you know that it is a great way to get a chiropractic adjustment.
Or need one.
Or make you need one, that's right.
If you are a chiropractor, stand at the exit and hand out cards. But that just makes it prime real estate for teenagers because they're too young to have those back problems yet, and they enjoy the ride. So this is a fast-moving ride, and by that I mean up to 35 miles an hour.
Ooh.
It feels a lot faster in the dark.
In the dark, yeah.
But it's in the dark. You're flying through space. You don't know where you're going because it's dark. There's crazy music and sound effects, and it's really fun. For the teenage crowd, this is probably way up there on the list.
Yeah, the music is great during Christmas and during Halloween when they have the overlays and they've got the lights going and the music blaring, and it's a very different experience during both Halloween and Christmas. During the rest of the year, if you're older than about 40, you might want to skip it and let the teens go ride it by themselves because it hurts.
You should ride it at least. Everyone should ride it once.
That's true. It is kind of a rite of passage for going to Disney. Riding Space Mountain at least one time.
Now I'm going to throw a wild card in there while we're talking about the teen crowd and say that one that they probably will look at and think is dumb, but they'll have a good time, is the Mad Tea Party.
The teacups.
The teacups. Because you can get
gosh.
those things moving pretty quick, and when you are a teen and you think that you have all the power in the world, it's a pretty fun time.
Yeah,
so
just don't do it right after a meal. Yeah, not a good idea.
And if you are a grown-up, let the teens have their own cup. Then you don't have to spin as fast.
Now, of course, the teens are probably going to want to walk past It's a Small World and the Peter Pan flight to get
And
to... most of Fantasyland. To get to the Haunted Mansion over in Liberty Square. The Haunted Mansion is a slow-moving dark ride, but it is literally a dark ride. It is a haunted house type attraction, and the teens usually love this one. It's not scary, but it is dark and spooky.
It's just a fun scare.
Yeah, it's, again, a Disney classic that you've probably seen on TV or on movies. The two failed Disney Haunted Mansion films that have come out with Eddie Murphy and then the current one with, I don't know, poor attraction, just can't catch a break.
I know, right?
Pirates has great movies, Haunted Mansion does not.
They keep trying. Another fun one you might want to throw in there for teens is Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin.
Oh yeah, shooting attraction.
Yeah, because it's competitive and it's a fun game that you can all play together. You compare scores at the end, see who can blast the most things. It's a good one.
Now, there may not be an entire week's worth of entertainment for a teenager at the Magic Kingdom, but there's definitely a day's worth.
Yes.
So if you're planning a trip with teenagers, and they're old enough to go off by themselves, you might do a family day at the Magic Kingdom with the whole family. Let them experience the Magic Kingdom at their own pace, and then let them move on to the Hollywood Studios or where the bigger attractions are on a different day.
Exactly.
Just a thought. Depends on your relationship with your kids. Now, as a Disney adult, so this is like when Sue and I go.
Yes.
If you've never been without kids, the Magic Kingdom is actually not a bad place to spend a day.
It's surprisingly fun. It's one of those things where it's like, there's a lot of stuff that grown-ups enjoy. Carousel of Progress.
People Mover.
People Mover is one of our favorites.
The slower attractions, yeah.
Yeah, just the more chill, take your time, enjoy what's around you, people watch, go to the Joffrey's cart, grab a coffee. I mean, there's a lot of really fun things, but it's a place where you can
let yourself be a kid.
Yes.
And live those memories that you had at the Disney parks when you were a kid.
Yeah, and even if you didn't go as a kid, it's a place where you are absolutely free to release that inner child. Yeah. You can wear Minnie Mouse ears all day if you want to.
Exactly. Go ride the Jungle Cruise and pick up some new dad jokes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The world-famous Jungle Cruise is a boat ride through the jungles of the world. Which
are all connected, if you didn't know.
Yeah, oddly enough, they are. And you will hear the worst jokes of any attraction you've ever been on anywhere. And it's literally the dad joke ride.
It is. And, we have to apologize because it is where we get our sense of humor. So,
well, 9 years a skipper.
Yeah. So, once a skip, always a skip.
Once a skip, always a skip. I spelled boat, B-O-T-E. That's an inside Jungle Cruise joke, folks. Anyway. But you'll also have fun on the coasters we just talked about. And on the classic dark rides. Even if you have not been to Disney World before, explore the park as an adult. You don't have to do It's a Small World if you've never been there, but if you've never been there as an adult, you have to ride It's a Small World because
it's true.
It's another rite of passage for about going to Disney.
And, also one of my favorite things to do as a grown-up going to Magic Kingdom is I kind of mentioned this at the beginning, but to enjoy Main Street. Take time out and watch an entire set of the Dapper Dans.
Oh, the Dans.
I love them. Do one of the Main Street vehicles just because it's there. Go and get some corn dog nuggets and watch the piano player at Casey's there. And it's such a nice way to relax in a very unrelaxing environment.
Yeah, if you're going as an adult for the first time, don't go on a weekend in the summer or don't go during a holiday period. Go on a Wednesday in January.
Yes.
Pick some time when you can take some time off and go and relax at the parks as an adult and not have to worry about standing in line with kids or herding cats, trying to get 15 people to do the same thing at the same time. It's a great place to go with just one or two other people and just enjoy the day.
And if you are all adults, take time out to have a nice lunch at Skipper Canteen. It's one of the very few places that we actually really enjoy eating at Magic Kingdom.
It's the Jungle Cruise in restaurant form.
Yes.
In fact, it's right across from the Jungle Cruise, so it's hard
and
to
you're
miss.
Served by Skippers.
You
and
are.
The backside of the menu says backside of menu.
At the backside of water joke. Yeah.
Right.
Don't want to give it away, but that's a really funny joke.
But take time to do a sit-down meal. If Jungle Cruise isn't your vibe, you can go do Be Our Guest, or you can go do... I really don't...
That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we like Columbia Harbor House.
Plaza Restaurant. Or you could do Tony's if you want a sit-down restaurant.
Yeah.
Well. Neither one has food that's spectacular. Again, best food in the park, and I think both our opinions, is Skipper's Canteen. And they have alcoholic beverages.
That is also true.
Which is really nice.
You can get those at sit-down restaurants in the Magic Kingdom now.
You just can't walk around the park with them like you can at Epcot.
Right. But I think when you say the best food at Magic Kingdom, you meant the spring roll cart, right?
Well, that's true. There is a walk-up cart at the entrance of Adventureland right on Main Street that has amazing spring rolls. They usually have a cheeseburger one, and
they've had pizza ones,
and
pastrami, Reuben.
Yeah. And they will swap out seasonally, so just check what's there when you get there. I think the cheeseburger one's there all the time.
Those are my favorites.
Basically take a Big Mac and squish it into an egg roll.
Yep.
It's really good. Now, if you have been there before and want to geek out a lot, there is a tour that's offered in the morning hours, usually 2 or 3 times first thing in the morning, and it's called Keys to the Kingdom Tour. It's $149 per person. DVC and annual pass holder discounts do apply to that. It's a 5
And that
hour...
is today. I'm going to jump in and just say that is literally today.
That's true.
Changes happen all the time to Disney pricing. So if you're going like next year, do not quote us on that.
That's a very good point. It's a 5-hour tour, and it's, like I said, in the morning hours, so it's going to be including lunch about halfway through. It does go down into the utilidors, which is that urban myth about the city underneath the Magic Kingdom. It does exist. Magic Kingdom is actually on the second floor. The utilidors are actually on ground level. The tour also lets you go through several different attractions and gives you a history of the park. So as a Disney enthusiast or Disney adult, it's a great way to geek out for 5 hours for $150.
And we have not done this experience yet. We are so looking forward to it. We've done some other tours at Disney, but we haven't done this one yet. And it's definitely on our to-do list for the next couple years to work in there. But this is also a great opportunity because it does start so early in the morning. It's a great opportunity to get some photos of just you in the castle. Like there is no one else in the park when this tour starts. So that is prime opportunity right there.
So what's changed in the last 10 years? I mean, if you haven't been there since you were a kid or just haven't been there in the last 10 years, what's new?
Some of the newer things, we have talked about these kind of as we go through, but the newest thing there is Tron Light Cycle Run, and that is that roller coaster type attraction that we talked about. It's a very short ride. I believe the whole thing is about 70 seconds. It's real short, but it is they pack that fun into that to 70 seconds. It is worth it just for the launch. It is so much fun, especially if you can do it at night. I highly recommend doing it at night.
The lights outside under the canopy are brilliant.
And it finally makes Tomorrowland look like Tomorrowland again.
It's true. That's a great point. It really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Tomorrowland's been looking like Yesterdayland for a really long time. So this was a big upgrade over in that little dark corner. Tell us about the next one, Rod.
Well, Splash Mountain, if you remember that from the 1980s, that has now been replaced by Tiana's Bayou Adventure. As we're releasing this in the first part of June, they're currently doing cast member, DVC, and annual pass and media previews.
And there are already ride-through videos on YouTube. So if you're one of those people who likes spoilers, they're available now. We've seen them.
Yeah, it's a log ride based on Tiana and the Princess and the Frog film. It takes place after the film. So I do know that Prince Naveen is in it and some new characters.
Mama Odie's still in there.
Mama Odie is there. And Facilier is still apparently on the other side. So, anyway.
Visiting his friends on the other side. I can't wait for this one. I loved Splash Mountain. We didn't do it often because we don't like walking around the park in wet clothes. But I cannot wait for this retheme. I think it's going to be really good.
Well, and I was on opening crew for Splash Mountain at Disneyland, so it's got a soft spot in my heart.
Also getting a redo as we speak is Country Bear Jamboree is becoming Country Bear Musical Jamboree.
You get a chance? Listen to our Country Bear Jamboree tribute episode.
We made some predictions on what we think the bears are going to be singing in the new show.
We found out a couple of them are already wrong. We know that they're going to be doing the Bear Necessities, but we also found out they're going to be doing...
Trixie is going to be singing our very favorite Disney song, which we also talked about in a recent episode, and that is Try Everything from Zootopia.
I cannot wait. It looks like it's going to be such a fun update to that attraction. I was a lead at Country Bear Jamboree at Disneyland. I have a very soft spot in my heart for the Country Bears, but rather see the attraction be upgraded than removed.
Absolutely.
So
I am fully on board with this update. I think it's going to be so much fun. And we also heard that Teddy Barra and Wendell, we knew they were going to be doing a duet, and we found out that it's going to be A Whole New World. So my prediction for that one was Beauty and the Beast, and I still think that would have been so funny. But they went with Whole New World, so I'm anxious to see how that one plays out, too.
Then, of course, if you haven't been there in the last decade or so, just over a decade ago, the new Fantasyland opened with the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Voyage of the Little Mermaid, the Be Our Guest restaurant.
Winnie the Pooh.
One of my favorite changes was Wishes. I loved Wishes. Wishes was such a great fireworks show.
Yes.
But the new one, Happily Ever After, which opened in 2017, has become one of my all-time favorite fireworks shows of all time. Of all time.
Of all time.
Yes.
All the times.
From the Redundancy Department of Redundancy.
Exactly.
Yes. However,
it did
music.
take a brief hiatus in 2021 for the 50th. It was replaced with Enchantment, Disney Enchantment.
Right. Which was good.
Was fine.
It was a fireworks show.
It was. It absolutely was a fireworks show with the fireworks.
But if you're going to do a 50th anniversary fireworks show about a park, don't you think that it should have something to do with the park?
And with Walt?
Weird.
They had to do an update to Enchantment to include a little opening thing of Walt. Like, why? How was that not in the plan? Okay,
Imagineering.
I'm going to step off, but I'm just going to say that we're glad Happily Ever After has made a return, and we love this show so much. It's good.
Yeah.
We did talk about it a little bit at the beginning again, but it's just so good.
This is the park, too, that Genie Plus is going to be your best friend.
It is essential at Magic Kingdom.
We will and have talked about Genie Plus in other episodes, so we won't get deep into it, but just note that it is a way to skip the lines. It's a paid way of skipping the lines.
Yes.
If you use the Fast Pass, this is new. And we'll cover this more in depth as we go through other episodes, but Genie Plus is great at the Magic Kingdom because there are so many attractions that have it.
Yeah, and you know what that's worth mentioning, too, is that this is not the most chill park. It is probably the busiest park in general.
I think it's the busiest park in the entire world, as I recall.
I would believe that as well. So it's not necessarily going to be relaxing and chill unless you choose to make it that way. So if it's your first time, just go with the flow. Make your priority list. Hopefully some of those things that we mentioned will make it onto your priority list. And what's important to you, if it's important to you to meet Tiana, go meet Tiana. If it's important to you to ride Winnie the Pooh, you ride Winnie the Pooh. Like, you make your own priority list. Everything else will be icing on the cake.
Yeah, there's no wrong or right when it comes to planning a trip to Magic Kingdom or to Walt Disney World. But when in doubt, ask your Disney adult friends.
Or listen to us.
Great source of information, as we are.
Hey!
I think so. I'm tooting my own horn.
Toot toot.
Well, folks, that's why you should have the Magic Kingdom as part of your Walt Disney World vacation. Doesn't matter who's going with you. Everybody's going to have a fun time. Kids
enjoy it. There's stuff for teens to do. There's stuff for grown-ups to do. There's stuff for entire families to do together, which was the entire purpose of Walt creating parks in the first place, is to bring families together. And there's so many just great opportunities at Magic Kingdom in particular to make those core family memories.
Before we go, we'd like to give a big thank you to Riley Piper, Paul Trett, Joey Humphrey, and Evan Piper for their help and support. Our theme music composer is Jason Patrick Rowan, whose music is licensed to Pond 5. And of course, thank you, Phoenicians.
Thank you, Phoenicians. And don't forget to rate, review, like, and subscribe. It really does help other people find us. You can find us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. The Epcotian Adventure is a $1,000 brunch production and a proud gold member of D23.
Thanks for joining us today for episode 68 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we'll see you in line.
Bye.
The Utilidors is ground level, or are ground level? R is ground level?
The Utilidors are.
They are ground level. It's one big Utilidor. Okay.